One of the problems in arguing with theists is, of course, their constant attempts to try to shift the burden of proof to atheists. Prove there is no God, they say. Prove that atheism is true. Well, the fact is that we don't have to. It's not our job because that's not where the burden of proof lies. You see, if someone claims that something, anything, exists, they're introducing a new element into the cultural zeitgeist. It's up to them to show that what they are claiming is real. And thus, it is up to them to prove it. Existence is not the default position, and nobody is under any obligation to believe your declaration unless you can back it up with hard evidence. Introducing a deity into the discussion requires just as much proof as anything else, and an atheist is someone who simply does not agree with your assertions, someone who thinks your evidence, if you've even provided any, simply does not hold up against careful scrutiny. Nobody is under any obligation to believe your unsupported claims, and religion is nothing but unsupported claims. That's why believing in God requires faith. If you could prove God exists, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. This is why it is not up to the atheist to disprove God. For one thing, exactly which God are we disproving? You have to explain exactly what qualities this God possesses for someone to even render an opinion. For another thing, where is your evidence? If God exists, you should be able to provide us with some reason for thinking so. If you can actually present us with a coherent case for God's existence, backed up by hard evidence, then it is up to skeptics to try to poke holes in it. And if they can, they're still justified in non-belief in at least your God. And if nobody can provide a good reason to believe in a deity, then atheism is still justified because, as I said at the beginning, claiming a God exists is introducing a new element into the discussion where before non-belief was the default. And if your claim does not hold up, then non-belief continues to be justified. Much as theists would like to turn this around on us and say, well, you're claiming that God doesn't exist, which is a positive claim, so you have to prove that, they're prevaricating, whether knowingly or unknowingly. The fact is that not all atheists are the no God no matter what types. Many are simply skeptical inquirers who grant their belief only to that which is justified, and religion has not yet passed that test. The burden will always rest with the religious because religion is introducing a new and as yet unproved notion, that of the existence of God. The religious might try to claim this is unfair, but it isn't. Scientists go through the same thing. Any positive claim science makes goes through just this kind of research, testing, and scrutiny that religion must go through. And if we're lucky, the law would do the same. If you introduce a new element into the system, the burden of proof is yours, and religion has never met that burden, so the responsibility remains firmly in their court.